Hello, everyone. This is JJ Hardy. We're here on another episode of Victory Leaders Lounge, and today I have a guest with me. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. His name is Rich Salon, but he's referred to as Rich the HR guy, and I can't wait to hear his story and what he's doing now. Rich, you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Thanks, JJ. Great to be here. And by the way, congratulations on the continued success of your show. There's a huge need for what you do. And I want to wish you all the best in your continued success. You are absolutely rocking it.
Well, thank you, Rich. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
So,
So, tell us a little bit about yourself. You know
yeah,
what you've done. Maybe some significant things that you would like to tell everybody about.
happy to. Yeah, Rich the HR guy is a nickname that I was given about 20 years ago when I was on the staff at Home Depot. But my background as an HR leader has been HR business partner, employee relations leader, talent acquisition manager, and I've truly been blessed to be able to do some of the things that I've been able to do. My life's purpose is helping people and making the world better. And I discovered that many years ago. And it's actually has some parallels with my career purpose. My career purpose is helping people find the level of career fulfillment that they seek. And
Hmm.
I do that in my HR work. If it When I was at Lowe's, I had a group of 20,000 employees I was responsible for nationwide, and the Home Depot gave me their DCs for the Western U.S. And I had a big group of stores, and the Penske organization, they gave me the southeast part of the country. So I've been able to be an HR professional in about 30 different states. I've had locations under my wing in about 30 different states, met some great people, and mentored a lot of terrific HR professionals, I may add. But the one thing that keeps coming back when people ask, "Wow, what's the coolest thing about human resource? Where do they hang their hat?" And some of us want to say employee engagement and leadership. And what I would tell you, I'd say leadership first and then employee engagement. Because at each of the companies, I'm quick to remind my HR team members that our number one charge is not helping to recruit people, helping to retain people, help provide the best benefits package, make sure compensation is in line. Those aren't our top priorities. Our number one charge in a human resources department, number one, can't argue, is helping the leaders become better leaders. That's it. That's what we do. And why do we do that? We help the leaders become better leaders because if they're more effective as a leader, that translates down to the business results, to the experience of their supervisors, of their employees, creates growth opportunities for employees. Employees want to grow, they want to get ahead, they understand what they do is part of the company's overall objective. And that's where the magic happens, is good, strong, courageous leaders who admit there's always room for growth. Because I can take locations with an employer, location A and location B, and I could look at their operating profits and their sales if it's a sales organization, and I can look at their employee engagement results, and I can look at the employee complaint history, and I can look at the turnover, and I can compare location A to location B, and then peeling back the onion and looking at the effectiveness of the leadership in the building, in the operation, and I find, with rare exception, the best operating, most profitable locations, coincidentally, are those with the best leaders. In that case, a comparison A versus B, with the better leaders. It's amazing what great leaders can do. It never ceases to amaze me. And there's no such thing as a perfect leader. So everybody can get better. Anyway, it's from leader to leader. They make a huge difference in the leadership style of the corporation or the department or the region. it makes a huge difference. And it is my privilege not to advise leaders. I don't advise terribly often, JJ. I coach. I ask a lot more questions than deliver statements to them. It's amazing. You ask them questions and you help them lead to their answer. They get the credit. Shazam.
Yeah, that's the
That's
best way.
that's
Yeah,
the magic. And HR working in lockstep, with the leaders, being a district manager. And one of my business partners was the senior vice president of operation, and I've had a lot of vice presidents, a lot of divisional directors, district managers, um, and the power of that partnership is absolutely amazing. It's first of all, it's mission. It's not just mission critical. Um, and the good news is that leaders get it. Very rarely anymore. Honestly, do you see this, butting heads between HR and operation layers? That just doesn't happen terribly often anymore.
that's
You know,
because the operations guys see all the moving pieces and they understand not only the value of having people advocate for the human part of the business,
mhm.
but also HR keeps you out of trouble. you know,
Thank
they
you.
they know all of the regulatory stuff that you don't pay attention to on a day-to-day basis. And when somebody brings an issue to HR's attention, first of all, operations knows that HR, as soon as they open their mouth, they need to listen because whatever comes out is what they're going to follow.
I agree. And if you and I have had this conversation about 20 years ago when I
Oh,
was early in my career, it was so different. The question would be, okay, uh, operators, leaders, executives, is your HR group celebrated or tolerated? And it's one of those, be careful what you ask for. And it was a lot more tolerated, and a lot more tolerated. Now, there's way more celebrated than tolerated. It's really on two different spectrums. So HR and the leadership have worked closely together for many years. We used to be called personnel, and that used to indicate task driven and just help us find candidates for our open positions, and don't worry about turnover or retention. So, but now it really is the true partnership. And,
yes.
and I would tell you, my personal, when the operating results don't happen, um, and I'm the HR business partner, guess what? I take responsibility, because the people element, the human element, team members at all levels, that's what's going to make the mission. That's what's going to make the numbers. And if the numbers aren't there, it's likely due to execution and possibly training.
Mhm.
And look, I don't say I would never say that's not my problem, because when objectives are not met, goals are not met, yeah, that is my problem.
Yeah.
So
Well, and there are many things that go into that, but I would say that I love the way you said employee engagement is after leadership, because how do you get your employees to engage? Well, you have to have people that practice the different. Well, it depends on business to business, but whatever the mission and vision is, paired with servant leadership qualities, these people need to be supporting employees at every level. Hopefully, they're practicing decentralized leadership. But if not, whatever the vision is for that organization, if you teach the managers and the directors and everybody else how to the way that you want that to be um, carried out, the employee results come from the effort of all the work that everybody else is putting in, and all the values that company has that hopefully are being practiced by all of the leadership.
you're absolutely right. And I'll look back at one of my employer. I'm going to call out one of my former employers, and it was the Home Depot. The Home Depot opened in 1979, and they didn't open up under a command and control culture. They opened under an empowerment culture, an empowerment leadership style. And the mantra was go, 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 do as much as you can, as fast as you can. We'll pull you back only when necessary. And what did that result in? Energized team members, excited, wanting to help the company grow. It was really amazing what they did. It was amazing to see how often people wanted to do more. They were just clawing it. Give me more. And
Mhm.
here, without leadership, why measure engagement? Why even speak the word? Because it really starts out with leadership.
So, in your opinion, and with your experience, Rich, uh, with the different organizations that you've worked with, both independently and as a career guy before you started your own thing, do most companies practice an empowerment model as they get to be larger and larger, or is it hit or miss?
I don't see as much of it as I used to. And here's, I can case in point, the Home Depot is an empowerment model. Lowe's, when I joined the Lowe's organization in 2012, they publicly admitted the prior year, 2011, that they're converting from a command and control to a servant leadership model. And the Penske model was a terrific model as well. Their thing was they made everyone feel important. It was amazing. Everybody felt like they were a part of the team. And it wasn't just Roger, Roger, Roger. He's an amazing man. But all the leaders in his companies were just inspired others. They thanked him, and they really went out of the way to make people feel important. And Circuit City, it was a shame Circuit City went out. I was with them until the bitter end. But Circuit City did a 180. It was about 2004, 2005, and what Circuit City did is said we're going to focus. We're going to instead of figuring out stuff at the top levels, we're literally going to flip this pyramid. They literally did the inverted pyramid, and they started going to the frontline team members and asking them repeatedly, "What do you think we should do?"
Mm.
And that became probably the most common question in that organization. What do you think? You're selling the TVs, you're in the distribution center moving the product. What do you think we should do? And here's what it translated to. It's really the most amazing thing in probably the history of employee engagement. How a company with 44,000 employees can increase their employee engagement a score over an 18-month period of 10 points. Company that size, if they increase it 1 or 2 points, they're heroes. Because that big a population, they increased it 10 points.
Wow.
So that it was a huge change for the organization. It happened right before I got there. So I was riding the wave. So things can happen. And again, to the Lowe's credit, it admitted in 2011, a great organization, just a great organization. They admitted that their command and control model that they were founded under 1946 was no longer the best model to be competitive. So they're flipping to a servant leadership model, which I already heard you say once. Servant leadership model. It's a phenomenal model. It's so simple. It took Robert Greenleaf till 1970 to figure it out. It's just so simple.
Well, and it's interesting. The military has that command and control structure, but their leadership model is servant leadership, which basically just means that at every level, you're empowering people to do whatever it is they have to do, plan their own operations, execute their way, and all the way down the line, and just report the numbers up to, and they would have to request certain things to be able to make changes and whatnot. But otherwise, what a way to develop, and what a way to bring people together in a way where it teaches them that when you are constantly focusing on how you can constantly benefit the next person, it turns into a different type of teamwork. you're not doing it necessarily for the greater good of the organization, even though that's what the mission is, right? Is to do it for the greater good of the organization. You're doing it to make the environment better for everybody.
Absolutely. And I got to compliment the nation's military, as I often do. I spent about 12, 13 years, a part of my HR career, in distribution centers, warehouses, and transportation. And I'll tell you, each of my organizations, each of our supply chain divisions wanted more people that we could bring right into leadership coming out of the military because of their leadership skills.
Yep.
They walked the talk. They took care of people, and they were also disciplined. They knew their limitations. They were so well-rounded. And I got to tell you, I remember going to career fairs and seeing all the supply chain companies and all the companies who ran their own supply chains competing for the military officers and military enlisted coming out. That was a big competition. And in fact, by the way, my career morphed into I'm still in human resources, but I also began helping people with their career search.
Oh, cool.
And I help people with their job search, and I've never turned down a request to help. And I also started matching people to businesses, and the companies that I work for, it's amazing. Most of them are willing to give a discount to veterans, who want to become, a franchise owner in their model. I work with over 800 franchise companies, and to place people, and they all want military because they're disciplined. They don't expect anything to be handed to them. They know how to lead. Their customer service skills are phenomenal because they're so respectful, and they're so courteous. And anyway, people come in the military. There's a perception they do things very methodically, and that's what franchise organizations want. They want them so bad that they're willing to discount the fees for former military.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Rich, would it be okay with you? We had a member of the audience here ask a question. Do you mind if I put that up on the screen and maybe we could answer that for him?
Absolutely. I'll try my best.
So we have Michael Hummel here. He says, do you think having people at the bottom being so important helped them or hindered them and led them to their demise?
I'm not. Let me check the question again.
Me too. Yeah.
I'm not sure what's having people at the bottom being so important help them, and I'm not sure that.
Okay. Yep, we need it. We need more information. Yeah.
The question, but I would tell you, if the question's about, does it help if somebody comes in at the bottom level of an organization or an area of expertise? No, it absolutely helps them. They understands the why, and helps them understand the foundation. I mean, if somebody was going into distribution center, supply chain, I got to tell you, I've worked with so many great leaders in supply chain, transportation, distribution centers, who are former truck drivers, who are former warehouse employees, drove that forklift for, 4, 6, 8 years, and turned out to be phenomenal leaders. They knew the subject matter expertise. Yep. And their ability to figure things out when they got to higher levels was amazing.
Yep. And so Michael commented here, he was referring to back when you were talking about Circuit City and what they did.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so Circuit City, Circuit City went out of business in 2009, January 16th. The shot heard around the world. Circuit City orders a bankruptcy liquidation, but we started to make some headway around 2004, 2005. And prior to that time, we pitched the appliances, we pitched the commission, and you think it's like, how is Circuit City going to survive against Best Buy, the 800-pound gorilla? And then Costco, Target, and Walmart decided to get in consumer electronics. So by 2006, Circuit City was in a dogfight. And people really question, why is Circuit City still here? Because you got Best Buy, Costco, Walmart, Target. Why is Circuit City still here? And honestly, I firmly believe we bought another 2.5 years because we shifted to go into the frontline employees, and it helped immensely.
Mm.
And that had nothing to do with the demise of Circuit City. That bought Circuit City, I think, about 2.5 more years.
Did that answer hopefully that answered your question, Michael? So that it was not the leadership structure that killed Circuit City. It was the market that killed Circuit City. If I'm understanding you correct, Rich.
Yeah, it was external. It was external factors.
Yep.
Best Buy just became an incredible. Costco, Target, Walmart got into the consumer electronics business. 2007, 2008 was a terrible recession. People were not buying consumer electronics. There was really no room for two.
Sure.
So it was either going to be Best Buy or Circuit City.
And
So
as a matter of fact, Michael, I would say, and Rich, you can either back me up or tell me I'm way off in left field, but anytime you have a servant leadership or empowerment model, if anything, that'll cause the organization to run more efficiently and probably put them at more of an advantage than it would to cause operations to go downhill.
yeah, no, you're absolutely right. By the way, Circuit City, you think that a lot of leaders and team members would have left skid marks and just hit the bricks when Circuit City, when it started getting bad? No, they stayed with this ship. It was absolutely amazing. And, I still run into people, former Circuit City, and what almost everyone tells me, he goes, Rich, that group over the last 2 to 3 years at Circuit City, I've not seen that level of talent in my employment, since 2009. Boy, we did some amazing stuff, and boy, I wish I had that Circuit City team, with me now. But it's just a very interesting story.
Yeah, fair enough. So the companies that don't develop that servant leadership / empowerment model that we keep on talking about, what do you think, in your opinion, this is just out of curiosity, what do you think is the reason that they don't do that, and what keeps them from noticing that things are harder, or what keeps them?
They keep reverting back to what's got them where they're at today. So it's like we've done this for 27 years. Why should we change? We're still making a profit. Our doors are still open. We're still employing people. Customers still want us. So it's really kind of a sense of complacency.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see the value of change. And often they say it's going to be too much work. There's other companies that are really adverse to risk. Companies out there saying, okay, we know we're losing a little bit of market share every year, but boy, it's a risk to do a 180 and flip our culture or flip our leadership model.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it's just risk adverse.
Okay, fair enough. So I want to ask you, so what do you, now that you're doing your own thing now outside of working, we'll call it the typical 9 to 5, or working for somebody else at a job, what are you doing now? I'd like you to, if you wouldn't mind sharing that with the audience.
Yeah, helping people. I'm doing a lot of different things. I'm doing some HR consulting, and because I literally lead a double life. I lead my HR life, and that's employment or consulting, and then I help people with their career search. If it's job search process, if it's want to get into consulting, that's great. If they want to be matched to a business to become their own boss, that's great. I can set them up. But I've also taken the opportunity to write 2 books, and one's called Career Trust and one's called Unleashing Your Career. And both are about helping people find the level of career fulfillment that they seek. Everything I do is around career fulfillment. If it's career search, if it's human resources, and kind of went outside the box a little bit by publishing 2 books, which are and I'm I enjoy speaking, when I'm asked, and I'm just here to help. And in my private life, I would tell you, after work, I'm a leader within Rotary International. I held 3 leadership roles within Rotary International from South Carolina up to Pennsylvania. And by the way, we're very, very close to eradicating polio from the planet. We are 99.99% done. We vaccinated over 2.5 billion children. It's been an amazing ride. And the next thing we're tackling, I believe, 25% of our world doesn't have access to managed water. It sounds like we take for granted, but there's 2.2 billion people in the world who they're walking a mile with a bucket in their hand, and they're getting it out of the only well, and they're fetching the water, walking it back a mile away, and that's their source of water.
Yep.
And so Rotary is doing a real good job of trying to make some headway. I'm actually on a project team putting in a managed water system in a community in Kenya of 2,800 people today, where the women and the girls have to walk with buckets a mile away to fetch a pail of water and bring it back, and that's how the community gets the water. There is the other thing I'm doing is I'm doing some planning, a little planning when I can find the time. Is when I do retire one of these years, I want to make a splash. I want to make the retirement years the best, most productive. I'm going to be a wish granter for adults diagnosed with a terminal illness. And then I'm doing this in memory of my mother, I would tell you, because I'm a big fan of Make-A-Wish Foundation. They're phenomenal. They're amazing. But they don't grant wishes to people over age 18. So what happens to the mom or the dad or their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s who are diagnosed with terminal illness? Who grants them a final wish? So that's my future. That'll be my life's best work. I can practically guarantee it.
Wow. Well, you know what? All the grace will come to you for that. That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you for doing all those amazing things. And you're right. People don't always consider the adult population when it comes to stuff like that, but equally as important. I would venture to say that in some ways, adults probably they're leaving a lot more than what a child is. And honestly, it's good to help the children. I'm not saying that at all, but just think these Make-A-Wish foundations and stuff like that, the amount of impact that they could get by helping adults as well, because the word will spread a lot faster and people will believe in it a lot more because of the amount of people that are left behind from somebody who has been around for just so many years. And by the way, there's a lot more damage that happens from somebody that's been around for a lot longer too, because they probably have kids, maybe grandkids, whatever the case may be. Yeah. So I think that's amazing what you're doing. And the fact that I love that the way you described your new career path as a solopreneur as just a helper.
No, I'm blessed. Some people are blessed to only have one career track. I found the second one, a career transition coach, just kind of by accident. The Circuit City, by the way, the CEO, they asked if I would kickstart the job search for the 34,000 people nationwide. My response was, okay, you had me at hello. And I did it. And I did some unique things and said, wow, I think that I now have a second career calling. So, my HR career is about 25 years, and the last 15 years of those have been overlapped with helping people with their career search.
Well, that's excellent, Rich. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for being a guest on my podcast. And since we're almost at 30 minutes, I want to just ask, do you have any a message that you want to share, or a promotion, or just any closing comment that you would like to share with my audience?
No, just my message as a reminder to all my fellow HR practitioners out there in our great country, as a reminder, and this is my philosophy: for every dollar you get to spend 99 cents of it on leadership development. making your leaders better. And that's not automatically classroom or a seminar or a book. Coaching, mentoring, giving people opportunities, stretch assignments. Again, that's one of my philosophies. If you gotta, for every dollar, spend 99 cents of it in leadership development, because helping leaders become more effective creates so many opportunities in so many ways.
You're absolutely right. Well, hang out for a few minutes after the call, Rich. But thank you everybody for tuning in that showed up. Michael, you're always a supporter here, and I appreciate you, buddy. I know there was somebody else watching. I appreciate you as well, and for all the future people that watch this, I can't appreciate more just having people support what I do. So thank you for that. If this resonates with you, like it, subscribe to it. Share it with your audience, but the most important thing is to keep the conversation going. So please put a comment below and gain some interest and start a conversation. Nothing but love for y'all. We'll see you next time.